Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Good morning, good day to you. Welcome to the Keshe Foundation Knowledge Seekers Program, as usual. Whenever and wherever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers. We have a slight problem with Rick in the background, but we keep the system on the front to see when he'll be joining back. We try to delay the teaching slightly till we get the YouTube and the rest from the Rick side back up. And we were informed that there could be a slight problem with live stream.
Recording in progress.
With Rick before the beginning of the program. This is because of the changes in Zoom and live stream programming and setup. As usual, as we started with hosting of the what we call the advertising. In the past 2 weeks, the Keshe Foundation has launched the new space flight system. The new space flight system brings into operation a collection of all the teachings of the past years of the Keshe Foundation. We are a space program. We are a space-based program. We are a structure to bring a new technology, a new understanding, a new work into the structure of the travel. Does not matter in what sense. Hi Rick, you're back.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, it's okay. I have already started. It's okay. Just put the screen on and we can. Just put the background on the screen. The process of all the teachings in how to nano-coat, how to make gases, how to use the fields, how we make cup 1, cup 2, and all the teachings with the energy and fields of the magraphs was to bring us to this point, the point of the journey, preparing the man to take flight from this planet. It's like when you go to travel, you start weeks before making sure all the clothing, all the things you need for a long journey is there, you don't miss anything. Everything is in the suitcase. But this time the suitcase is a suitcase of knowledge. We added step by step. We brought more and more people to understand what is in this suitcase of travel. The suitcase of knowledge for a space is very different than the suitcase of the man traveling the planet Earth. We came to understand we don't need no clothing. We came to understand we have no means of digesting food to take the memories of the best food and the sweets from our home to where we are going while we are traveling and be there. We came to understand that the emotion of missing home will not exist as is part of us as we are home now across the universe. And then the suitcase became bigger and bigger. It became larger through the knowledge of man. It became larger through understanding of many, many, many knowledge seekers. In a way, when you go as a team to travel, as a group to travel, everyone brings what they like. Everyone brings a taste of their word, their interest, book, videos, or whatever. We'll find out man in the space cannot take these things. The only things we'll take with us is the memory of the man within the dimension of physicality and the memory of the soul of the man in the dimension of the universe. We'll leave the double life. What is the next step? Now that the suitcase of the knowledge of the man to take the first journey is nearly completed. The only thing is, now we have showed you the crafts that will take you. Now you're on a journey from home to the dimension of the airport or the train station to get that flight, to get that journey to start. And many of you knowledge seekers are in that step. Many people will join us very rapidly because they want to be a passenger. They buy the last minute tickets to get on. But this journey will not end here. This journey starts here for man. This journey of man in a deep space has just started. What we are asking you is to put the last pieces of whatever you love, you care, in the dimension of memory and emotion in the suitcase of the knowledge of the man for a space. Many of your clothes, which you might think you take in the suitcase, at the point of arrival through its gravitational magnetic field would not exist. You say, I know I left that shirt. I know I left that toy. I know I left that food in the suitcase, but where is it? That toy, that shirt, that food had a physical dimension in the gravitational magnetic field of the earth with the emotion of the physicality of the man. In a dimension of new air, in a new dimension of the position and feel the strength. It's like a sugar in hot water. It's there, but not tangible. We carry the essence of the taste of the sugar in the water as the memories of our lives on earth. Many of us will feel this dimension of the truth. Many of us will yearn to feel the dimension of physicality of it. We yearn to be loved the way we loved on earth. We yearn to be touched, but would not exist. The touch, the feeling, the emotion will have a different strength, will have a different meaning, will have a new dimension. We, as knowledge seekers and as a human race, we have started a new journey. The suitcase nearly packed, and the last pieces of what is needed to be added to it is getting there, that we can have it with us when we go. But as I said, many of you will be disappointed, as at the point of arrival, there is nothing in that suitcase of the physical dimension of the man. In so many ways, as you will see when you enter, and we explained in the teaching of last week, you will see no steering wheel. You will see no controls. You will understand that you become the controller of the position and dimension. And if you're so attached to earth, you will go nowhere. You hear in Tanoi, sorry, the train is at the station. Because the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man are not ready to take that journey. Many of you will go, but you'll be disappointed. You love to be the passengers of the universe, but the dimension of the physicality and hold on the physical dimension will keep you. In a way, it's the old song, there is no such a dress. The dress does not exist in your emotion, as the dress for you is earth, and you are too physical to understand. Will the mankind change in time and the emotion changes in time? In some cases, yes. But the attachment to physicality will not allow many people who will travel. As you've been on the website of the Keshe Foundation, and some of you have already shown interest to be the passengers of the flights into the moon after 6th of June, you will find out you receive a refund on your ticket, as your soul is not prepared to take the journey of physicality with itself. What you want is not what your soul wants. I'm not ready yet. I need time to mature, maybe not in my time and dimension, but in the time and dimension of my children, my grandchildren. The attachment to what we call emotion and understanding is too deep. In talking to some knowledge seekers and some people who are trying to understand the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation, in the past week, I've been explaining in a very simple way. Mankind has to be ready in both dimensions of the soul and the soul of the physicality. And then the man is ready as totality to take in the oceans of the fields of the universe. There'll be no difference in traveling the depth of the universe. You will have a turmoil, you have a magnetic field flows, you have the hurricanes of the field from the explosion of the stars. You will be tumble, you will roll, you will find out if you've chosen the craft version, you are in a dimension of the physicality. And man will grow. As I said to the ambassadors and the people who are working in the direction of understanding the technology, how are your leaders going to tell your nationals and your followers that the time has come? The time of change for us to understand the next level of understanding has come, where most of physical dimension does not exist. When you enter these units, there is no food. What's going to happen to your stomach? Still, you might create children of space in the coming time. They will have in their DNA the process of creating a stomach, creating a digestion system, creating of cleaning, creating systems to reject what it doesn't need. But in the dimension of the flights, in the universal systems, there is no such thing, but still stays in the background in the RNA and DNA of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, that if man returns to earth in due course, all shall be created again. All be functioning again. All be ready to go. Very much the way we do in the womb of the mother at the time of the growth within the structure of the womb of the mother. We are in another spaceship, a spaceship of the life of the mother. In the coming time, many of you will have problems to understand it, but once you taste it, you come to feel the truth about it. In the coming weeks, in the coming months, we start teaching the process of the conversion of the cell of the man to energy, and collectively to become the soul of the man to be able to travel. Rick, if you can show the vertical enhancement units, please. If you can raise it on the screen. In the what we call vertical enhancement unit, this is what about to happen in the dimension of the existence, in the dimension of understanding. The section where the system is open, go forward to the point where the system is open. Just go back, go back, go back. When you see the full length, that slide, it just comes there. That's perfect. In this system, The soul of the man will be somewhere here. The physicality of the man will take shape and it'll be somewhere here. The structure of the fields of this system are set to bring the dimension of the physicality into the position of the soul. At the same time, the fields of the structure are set to create the squeezing of the fields of the physicality or the soul dimension of the physicality into the same point. What do you get? The soul of the man as a whole being able to leave the dimension of physicality as both have been brought together in a very controlled way, and what you'll be left with is nothing. At this point, as you are energy, I can transfer you into another system. I can take you into another system by the dimension of the flight and manifest your soul. And then set the system into reverse, where the soul of the man will open up the dimension of physicality, and the soul of the physicality will grasp the opening of the physical dimension of that. In the past, in the present science, they tried to move an atom, they tried to move something somewhere, but they haven't realized that an atom has a soul. If the scientists can move the soul of the atom will totality move. And this is the purpose of the vertical systems, where we are open to the both dimensions of the field of the universe, and what is there, that the soul of the man in a dimension of its own package will move to the position of the desired destination. In the Keshe Foundation, we have developed such a line of communication, such a transfer of the energy. We have tested it, and it's part of the new flight system. As now the Keshe Foundation Austria has been given to become a space, what we call aircraft manufacturing for a space development by the authorities. We are there to show the system. We are there to run the prototypes and invite the government officials and people, leaders in the space technology to be present when the tests are done, when the systems are assembled, that it becomes certified for man to travel within the dimension of this planet. But beyond it, we have no authorities except the authority of the Creator. As the Austrian official said, up to 80 kilometers is under our rule. Above that, we have no rule. You go to the others who think they control the space. But those who control the space have the limitation of a few hundred kilometers more, and beyond that is the rule of the universe. And Keshe Foundation works in that dimension. Many of you will go through the physical transportation and transmutation. Many of you will go through the energy transmutation and transportation. It's for you to decide which mode of transportation you'd like to take and to be part of. How do we squeeze the fields of the universe that makes your soul to receive enough to leave the physical dimension? And then how we squeeze the fields of the physical dimension of the soul to be added to the dimension of the soul of the man that matures exactly the way at the point of death of the physical life of you at the moment to be able to release itself. Maturity of the time comes from where the soul of the man has received enough to be able to take that trip, has created enough connection with every cell of the body of the man to take everything it needs for it to take flight. As I said in other teaching many years ago, now you might understand, is these machines we produce are exactly like a juice extractor. You put the carrot and you put the grapes and you put the apple in a juice extractor. Once the extractor has squeezed the juice out of it, that they're all together, you are left with the leftover, which is squeezed out of the machine. And this is your life at the moment. At the point of death, what is left is what that juice extractor has rejected, because the true essence of the fruit has gone into the juice, into the liquid which you take. And in essence of the soul of the man, when all the soul energies of every cell of the man is given to the soul of the man, then the new soul, the new, what we call totality, will leave the body of the man and leaves the body of the man as that wasted thing as we had with a juice extractor. No more and no less. Man has made a system to show the process of the creation, but he never understood. Now, if you look, the new enhancement units are in that process to release all the souls of every cell of body of the man to be available to the soul of the man from the soul of dimension of physicality of the cells, that the soul of the man receives enough, matures enough, that he can release itself from the dimension of the physicality. And in the present knowledge, in the present dimension of the life of the man, there is a leftover, which is the body of the man, what we call the morgue, the body, the leftover. In the process of transportation and transmutation, we take everything as embedded within the soul of the soul of the physicality and the soul of the physical material with us as part of the dimension of the transportation and transmutation. In a way, we make, instead of the soul of the man to be on its own, we make the cage to become the carrier. We encapsulate the soul of the man in a plasma of the fields of the system, and we allow it to manifest itself in another dimension. And then when we take the plasmatic encapsulation away, the physicality of the man will manifest itself in the presence of the time and the position on Earth, or on the other positions and systems in the universe. This plasmatic encapsulation will be perfectly understood in the coming time when you don't have one of these systems with you on the sun or on the moon or on Jupiter or another position in the universe where you want, you like to reach, but there is no system. The encapsulation which is created will take you there, will deliver you to the position, will create you the dimension of life and allow you to manifest yourself in whatever shape or form according to the physical plasmatic structure of the environment as a new creature in that position and dimension. As long as you can keep the dimension of the what we call plasma capsule, you can return back to the position. And if we can make the same systems as we are doing in Austria, and we're sending these systems across the planet, you don't want to come back to Austria. You go to New York, you go to Tehran, you go anywhere else you feel where the systems are, or you can divert your systems if you become good enough in a way to move the source to the point. As I said, we start slowly opening the knowledge that how you move, how you do things. It took us 8 years to bring you to this position, and it'll take us 8,000 years to teach the rest. Because the knowledge is so vast. The knowledge is so immense that the knowledge of the man, unless man lets the what I call attachment, physicality go, will take him a long time. This is the reason. And only reason that the creation of the soul and physicality through the birth of Mitra will become one, where the man will have the full possibility of both dimensions, that he can travel the span of the universe in any shape or form. Understanding and creation of the new generation of the children of man will have that capability. As it comes with the birth of Mitra, is part of the gift to humanity as the mother of the creation will create, will blow a new knowledge of life to whole of the universe. There shall be no dimension where and how, the dimension of how to serve and how to be there to serve that creates and gives you the condition of life anywhere in the universe. These new enhancement units are just a stepstone to the next dimension of the knowledge for man. The new enhancement unit, the new structure of the production of the systems will be beyond imagination of many of you, because man is too physical. As I said to the representative of the Iranian government in the past few days, every religious leader can deny the existence and the presence of Mehdi. When are they going to stop, and who is going to be the Mehdi? As they decide to the benefit of their pocket or the truth that they'll find out that with the knowledge come, the knowledge dispersed, they themselves have become irrelevant to the whole equation of the creation and the knowledge of the prophet of the Creator. In a way, the knowledge, even what explained today, makes the presence of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, the Pope, and the rest irrelevant to the knowledge of the creation. How long these people would like to touch themselves, to be the leaders, to be who they know is the right, has already expired. Let them struggle in the dimension of physicality. But with the knowledge and the disperse of the knowledge the correct way, we'll find out that the belief in the path of what was chosen to bring man to this position will come to be understood to be the belief in the Creator and the creation. As I said, when you understand how you can transmute, when you can manifest yourself in the dimension of physicality, how you can elevate your soul, then there is nobody who can tell you how Christ raised the dead. He raised the soul of the dead, and the physicality followed. In a way, he gave from his soul, exactly like this machine, that soul elevated the dimension of elevating the physical soul. Now, explain to us in Vatican, what does mean? This means the understanding of the process and the end of Christianity. Explain to the leaders of Iran, be it Ayatollah Khamenei and the rest of the Ayatollahs in power, what is Shaq al-Qamar? Now that every Muslim has access to go on the moon and see the moon is not cut. Then we understand the purpose of the religions which we brought to guide man to this step that he can understand the rest easier. The term and the condition of the religions are over. Because every single man has the knowledge. Every single man has the capability to understand the knowledge that does not allow no Ayatollah, no Pope, no rabbi to lie to them about who is and who they are and what is the truth about the Creator. If the knowledge of the Creator is in the hand of every man, does he need a messenger to tell him? As he has already received the message, understood the totality. This is what is, and many of you will come to understand in coming weeks and months, the opposition to Keshe Foundation will come from the religious leaders as they have to take their turbans off and the holy hats and become another soul with the knowledge that they themselves become part of the process of the creation. No one can lie to no one. And the process of what we call the guardians and those who brought the man, who was supposed to bring the man to understand his souls and abuse the souls in that process is over. As I said to the location of Ayatollah Khamenei, we don't need no permission. We deliver the knowledge and the man will put aside the old dogmas. In so many ways, your knowledge, understanding what's on the screen, makes you to understand how the Christ arose a man from death and the rest of what has come. And how you can transmute understanding, knowledge across the universe. So, in fact, you all have the knowledge of Christ. And does it make you the Christ? In essence, it's the same right across all the religions. As I said, by knowledge and understanding, no man will follow no religion except the principle of the knowledge and the religion of Mitra. Do good, act good, and think good. And in that process, you can do no wrong. And in that process, you're the citizen of the universe. You are the gift to the rest of the creation as your knowledge becomes their knowledge and they appreciate and respect what you share. That's how you become the givers. Let them create as much mayhem as they like. The truth shall not change. The knowledge shall not die. And in so many ways, there are a few days, in very short time, left of all the religious leaders and name of the religions as man comes to understand the essence of the Creator is within him. Every man is a Mehdi of his own, and his soul and his physicality. As we hear, as we see in the administrations, they do not know how to handle Keshe Foundation. And since last week, in the past 2 weeks, we have put the new flight enhancement unit. We have created mayhem for many governments. How to handle the knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation in the next few months, traveling in the span of the planet and the universe and the galaxies, and without us claiming to be the leaders. If we look at the structure of the vertical unit in transmutation, if we look at the structure of the new flight system in transportation, we have given every soul, every man the opportunity to travel in both dimensions, or as he understands, has matured from one to the other. If you enter the enhancement unit, the vertical enhancement unit, and you want to go from A to B, but you don't carry that essence of purity, you will go nowhere. We open the box, you're still standing there. And what you say, the system doesn't work, and there is something wrong with it. The only thing wrong with it is that your soul of physicality knows you're a criminal, you cannot leave. Then you can hide it in any shape or form you like. You still attach to physicality to continue with the criminality. In so many ways, the teaching in a very slow steps, like this simple picture, will open a new knowledge to you. It will open a new dimension to you. Not all the knowledge seekers will grasp it, but those who are in the background will understand it. And then it'll take shape from dimension of pictures to reality. Rick, would you like to play the new video of the enhancement unit, that we see the progress, we see the change? 2 years ago, we showed you the illusion, the pictures of what will be. What will the enhancement units will do, and how will they look? And now when you come into the exhibition center, you see the reality. And in the next time you come in 2 or 3 months, you see the more advanced version of it. Different structures, different systems, but in essence, man will choose. The vertical enhancement unit will stand next to the what we call the old enhancement unit. And then you understand the difference. You want to travel in the dimension of the soul, or you want to travel in the dimension of physicality. Go ahead, please.
The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced, energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists and healthcare centres.
The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The future you have been waiting for is here.
Now, what we see, and exactly next to this machine, is a vertical unit in the exhibition center. If you remember, we used to, and we showed the illustration of how this system will look. Now, this is a physical system in front. We thought for years in advance, and now we show the system. And the new system coming up is more advanced than this one. In a way, this is the great-grandfather of the new system to come, due to development and understanding of more of the technology. The same shall we with the other systems which the Keshe Foundation will bring out and put in operation for advancement of understanding and for creation of the condition for man to suffer less in the dimension of physicality. What we show in illustration becomes and takes the dimension of physicality and reality, and we have to understand this. If you even go to the side where you see the chair, if you look, the enhancement unit uses one chair. The new advancement in the knowledge and the space technology allows 4 souls collectively to be carried within the system, both in both dimensions of the physical and dimension of soul of the man. As somebody asked, what's going to happen with who is going to take charge? Who's going to be the captain? This goes back to the teaching, where, as I said before, who you try to be giver of. I have enough time to get to Mars. You need to go to the moon. Your wish is my command. I'm here to serve you. And then if I get to Mars on time, for me, that'll be fine. Then you understand the new processes, the new teaching, the new systems is all to bring man to that position of the suitcase that the man can stand outside any of these units and decide. I'm sure many of you will feel ashamed even walking in with a suitcase, as your suitcase might not even exist at the point of arrival. You will come to the flight system and you say to yourself, I have to let the physicality go, as the suitcase of man stays outside, and the suitcase of the soul of the man will walk inside. The knowledge, the memory, the expansion of the thoughts will take shape itself in the flight system, where there is no room for the luggage. As we know, in most cases when we arrive, there is no luggage. Man cannot carry anything in itself except understanding of the emotion through the totality of the life of the man on this planet. When we enter these units as the soul of the man, as we have gathered in the soul of physicality, the totality of the knowledge of all our ancestors, we walk in with all knowledge of the creation on this planet. And when you enter, as all of us carry most of that knowledge together, you'll find out there is very little difference with the understanding of the souls who shall be the captain and who will be the first to go where they want. You understand, we carry the common denominator of the gift of the creation within us. And mankind will mature very quickly to understand that even these spacecrafts are just a tool for the maturity of the man. The maturity of the soul of the man, for the maturity of the understanding, the totality of the creation. In so many cases of teaching, we have taught everything that a man needs. And then, for many of us, we'll see how we can bring this new dimension into play and how we can do it. In understanding this, and more and more realizing the difference between the vertical enhancement unit and transportation and transmutation and the new flight system will change our what we call dimension of thinking in knowing how feeble we've been in not understanding the totality for thousands of years. Everything has been there. And if you look inside the flight system, you will understand even within the flight, a man can mature to be as part of, to be in possession of, and to be as totality of all the technologies put together. In so many ways, mankind needs to enter the point of maturity. Mankind needs to understand and choose which and what it likes to take flight, and would he like suddenly in the middle to have both the dimension of the soul of physicality and the dimension of the soul of the man free from that. Mankind will mature to a new dimension. Mankind will become part of the understanding of the totality, where the new enhancement flight systems are a collective set of all the knowledges and the systems that we have given you in past thousands of years, as you be the citizens of the universe, or mankind who has just matured to understand a little bit more about himself. Now, maybe now, many of you will come to mature to the point of understanding of the totality. And if not, we have thousands of years to go yet. Maybe your children and your great-grandchildren will come to understand this. And with it, they'll come to understand the totality of the knowledge of the creation. Now, we see the collective knowledge. And as I told you before, in which suitcase and with what suitcase you want to enter any of these two machines. Don't forget, the vertical enhancement unit is very small. What would you hold on to? Your mobile phone or the ring from the mother and the grandmother when you go to the transmutation and transportation of the vertical system? And would you carry the suitcase with you into the enhancement flight unit? As you know, the point of arrival will be very funny if you carried a tin of baked beans, as is the tradition breakfast of every Englishman. And when you arrive in that dimension, The material used for the tin has become part of the diluted energies of its space and time, and you're left with nothing but beans in your suitcase. And even if that suitcase still has the physical dimension of the physicality, now you understand. Choose your flight method. Use the dimension of the soul and go through the dimension of the vertical unit, or go with a new flight system and still have an option to go through the process of what we call physicality. And maybe in that time, you mature to go through the process of the soul too. But understand one point. Man can only travel in any of these two systems when man has matured the totality of understanding the truth about the creation and the creator. I hope today's teaching brought you home a little bit closer to understand how you travel, how you will be, and be very, very, very careful about the suitcase you want to carry. Suitcase of man with a dimension of physicality, or the suitcase of the soul and dimension of the energies of the thoughts and the memories of the time, place, and dimension. The rest is yours. The rest is in your hand. And the rest is for those who understand. I'm sure by the end of this teaching, those who are sitting here, for those who report to certain governments to say, you see, it says it's Mehdi and now it's the end of your job. You better do something. My advice to the Iranian leadership is very simple. The time for separation of the soul of the man and physicality of the man is over. And the responsibility of the religious leaders, being the President Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, to open the truth about the beginning of a new cycle for man in a dimension of creation, and be the stepstone for them to mature and not block the knowledge, as we can take you to the new dimension that you only can block your souls from elevation. The same goes to Vatican and their messengers who are in the background sitting here, and the same to the rabbis in trouble in Tel Aviv, and the same with the Chinese, Buddhists, and the rest. The time of the maturity of the soul of man has arrived, and none of you have the capability and the power to stop the change we have set out. Mankind has matured, and it's the time for that maturity to show itself, that the man become part of the universal community and become free from the village of the earth and abuse of so many people in the name of the Creator. Thank you very much, Rick. You can go through your commercial break and we come back and we answer if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. I was wondering if you wanted me to play either of the videos, the cycle of creation, or the from Observer Space Traveler. Maybe I'll play the Space Traveler one. It might be appropriate now.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We'll take a short break here for a few minutes and be back after for questions to complete the second part of the workshop. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back shortly.
From the beginning of time, humans have always looked towards the sky for inspiration and guidance. There has been a fascination with birds, stars, gods, goddesses, and other entities which seem to exist above us, and for many humans, a strong yearning to travel into space. Man has dreamt of flight since observing space, and now it is time to become the space traveller. The future of space travel requires us to understand from where we came, to see where we are going.
Several thousand years ago, philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban from China were looking to the wind for flight. They invented kites using silk and bamboo, allowing for the later development of communication, measuring distances, testing the wind, and lifting men.
The invention of the kite brought with it the desire to fly. The first known attempts at flight were typically by leaping off towers, known as tower jumping. People in China, India, and Europe first attempted flight this way.
In 1670, Francesco Lana de Tarzi published a book that showed some interesting concepts. The concept of copper foil in a sphere with a vacuum would produce a vacuum airship. This is still not possible with today's materials. Francesco is recognized as the father of aeronautics, melding science and mathematics into aerial navigation.
The Chinese are believed to have developed the first hot air device. The Chinese lantern, using hot air from a candle, can take flight and was first used for signalling. The hot air balloon achieved the first human lift and advanced to what we know of as the Zeppelin.
The first attempts at flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine were made by more than just the Wright brothers. Most attempts failed, however, they were the stepping stones for what was to come later. The oldest airport, College Park, is still in operation today.
Airplanes evolved rapidly through the century, from propeller to helicopter to jet aircraft, and most of that technology is used today.
During the Second World War, Germany developed rockets that could go a limited distance. The basic rocket technology used then is still used today. The space race started with the Soviet Union and the USA in 1957 and led to many developments for the next step, the moon.
The spacecraft assigned as Apollo 11 was the first spacecraft to have landed on the moon. The space shuttle operated at tremendous cost. Burning the fuel proved to be wasteful and dangerous technology. The International Space Station, ISS, is a habitable artificial satellite that was assembled in low Earth orbit in 1998 with the use of the space shuttle. The ISS can often be seen with the naked eye from Earth.
Spacex, as a private aerospace producer and space transportation services company, was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling the colonization of Mars. SpaceX reuses the first stage of their primary rocket, Falcon 9, by vertical propulsive landings. Although, up to present time, it still uses the rocket fuel burning technology. Mehran Keshe has always said, the time for burning fuels is over, but did we need to start with that technology in the first place?
Ancient cultures have suggested the use of an alternative means of transportation. With reference to possible plasma technology,
You can go to New York from Brussels within 2 to 5 minutes. And most of this 5 minutes is actually landing and getting up.
Mehran Tavakoli Keshe was born in Iran in 1958. As the son of an X-ray engineer, he was introduced to the world of radiation and nuclear science at a very young age. In 1981, he graduated from Queen Mary, the University of London, as a nuclear engineer specialized in reactor technology system control. At that time, he developed a number of theoretical ideas related to more simple nuclear concepts and their applications. In 2002, he decided to finish the full design of his ideas about nuclear technology. This included the creation and control of gravity and energy by the use of nuclear materials in a clean and safe hydrogen reactor. Mehran Keshe introduced the concept of double magnetic fields to explain the magnetic and gravitational field of Earth.
Unknown by the existing scientific community, he wrote a number of scientific papers in 2004 and sent them for peer review. such as the creation of black holes. When one of the persons performing the peer review used his information in public, he decided to draw back his papers and to concentrate further on building prototypes.
Since the beginning of 2006, several prototypes of dynamic reactors have been built, some specifically designed to create hovering effects, similar to effects seen with magnetic levitation. Basic hovering effects have been achieved. 2007 brought the first flight test with radioactive material, in which the patents describe the process of the field interactions.
The main patent, Gravitational and Energy System, described the initial fundamental aspects of the plasma and uses. This was followed by the supplemental patent, Microplasma Reactors, where further uses and advancements were described. Mr. Keshe found himself in Iran in 2008 and was provided all the resources needed to create the first lift of a plasma reactor managed by the Iranian government. These special rotating gas reactors were used to control the plasma. To bring a deeper understanding, Mr. Keshe released the first book in 2009, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, which contained many new concepts released to the public. This included the PMTIC plasma magnetic fields, initial fundamental plasma and plasma dilution technology used for space reactors. The plasma technology was further developed and it manifested in weight fluctuation in a controlled environment. 2010 introduced a new state of matter called GANS, an acronym for gas in nanosolid state. The GANS produces fields to be used in the operation of the spaceship. Advanced flight tests were performed in Iran with the guidance of Mr. Keshe and the newly designed systems.
Mr. Keshe tells us you can't bring all the doctors with you in space. Medical research advanced in 2010 and is still being explored daily all around the world. The Keshe Foundation has provided knowledge for dealing with many medical conditions in space.
A great example of plasma technology used for peaceful process is the capturing of the USA drone over Iran in December 2011. This drone was touted as one of the most advanced drones of its day and was caught by Iran using plasma to disrupt the communications. Plasma absorbs fields and the drone uses radio fields for piloting, a natural aspect of the plasma, a barrier of fields.
Book 2, The Structure of the Light, was released in 2011. This book brought forward the understanding of the structure of light as a cylindrical plasma where the light is in possession of all magnetic field strengths. Book 3, The Origin of the Universe, was published later in 2011. Mr. Keshe explained the further operation and interaction of different strengths of the same fields, which then leads to the creation of the universe. These 3 books bring forward a much deeper understanding of the plasma science that is applied worldwide by knowledge seekers and scientists in spaceship research and development.
There were 2 conferences to release the space technology to governments in 2012. The first international presentation in April, Keshe Foundation invited representatives of every country to the first presentation of the plasma technology. The second international presentation in September, Keshe Foundation invited the nations of the world through their ambassadors and their leaders to attend a gathering at the Keshe Foundation Center in Nenove, Belgium.
Space travel requires peace. The implementation of the plasma technology brings greater responsibility. In 2013, Mr. Keshe brought forward the World Peace Treaty. Signing of the peace treaty is a confirmation from yourself to your soul to act correctly in a peaceful manner.
In 2014, knowledge seekers came together from around the world to learn from Mr. Keshe, and many different experiments with reactors were performed, including improving the previously developed reactors to fit with the new knowledge, introduction of nano-coated reactors, multi-core GANS systems. The Spaceship Institute lab experiments were streamed live on the internet for all to see. SSI lab tests with reactors showed strong magnetic field pulses up to 129 Tesla and showed significant weight fluctuations. In December, an experiment was performed using reactors built by knowledge seekers from around the world. Italy, Germany, and Canada were involved in field communication tests. The tests showed that fields can interact with each other no matter the distance or time, resulting in instant communication.
In 2015, developments for space continued with different aspects of the plasma technology, such as in health, energy, and decontamination. In October of 2015, Mr. Keshe taught a popular week-long course called the Blueprint Teachings about how to build the MAGRAV power units. People from all over the world participated with building their own MAGRAV units and teaching others. With the demand of the Keshe Foundation products from all over the world, a new research center and manufacturing opened in Arizona, USA. Many developments of the technology happened in different parts of the world, and Keshe Foundation USA is no exception. John and the team started performing experiments using different sensing tools. These tools allowed the team to visualize the MAGRAV fields and to show others their interactions. With reactor formations showing positive results, partaking in the knowledge together is easier and more joyful than ever. The fun has just begun, says MT Keshe.
Mr. Keshe publicly teaches the space technology through the weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. Plasma enthusiasts from around the world participate in gathering the knowledge and putting the puzzle together in the space race. All people, irrespective of race, nation or religion, are invited to participate in the exchange of knowledge, thus assisting humanity to live within the ethos of the universe. It is recognized that international cooperation and peace is a prerequisite for mankind to journey into deep space. Individuals and nations are invited to come together in the spirit of collaboration and unity to enable peaceful application and the use of plasma technology for space travel, food, agriculture, energy, transportation, health, and more. We are excited to release the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Blueprint to humanity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 404th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, October 28th, 2021. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to take on some questions in this part of the workshop?
Yes. Thank you very much, Rick. Going back in what we just saw and some of the things which was shown in the video, as you've seen the 3 books of the book number 1, 2, and 3, now they become as bestsellers in category in Amazon and other publications. As the Keshe Foundation team has launched these books, and they have become some of the bestsellers in many categories. the knowledge is getting known by people outside the Keshe Foundation. And gradually in the coming weeks, you will see the hard copy of these books in different stores, bookshops across, especially UK and Canada. And we are now to make sure as many people have access to the knowledge and they can reach to understand the knowledge. When you look at what has been more or less a progressive development of this technology, it's been on the back of a step-by-step development, step-by-step showing, step-by-step to understand. And some people grasp some part of it and some people grasp the other part of it. But now collectively, many of the knowledge seekers are heading towards one direction. As now that the Keshe Foundation has become a space organization, and as KF SSI has become an institute, independent university very soon, you all can become part of this university. You can become part of the research and add to the knowledge and learn more about the work of the universe. We have come step by step long way, and we have seen step by step we've taken shape in different dimensions and directions. We've seen how we use the plasma, and all of it is according to the level of our understanding. One reactor could look the same, but perform totally different dimensions and directions of the knowledge. It's nice to see programs like this. And when we go back to one scene on this video, is where we show the first conference in Rome with the world ambassadors. And in that conference, there is one piece is left in the memory in many of you. One is handing over of the Maghreb units to the world ambassadors. And one part and nearly the middle end, when the delegation from His Eminence, the Pope from the Vatican, approaches to say goodbye and they had to leave, you hear in the microphone, Papa Amore, which means the Father loves you. And we understand the Vatican is fully aware what is about to come, as the other world religious leaders. And the Vatican Pope does not love a man who is a layman on the street. Now we understand the depth of the knowledge and the fact how much the world religious leaders are delaying the time for the freedom of the soul of the man, and that time has come to an end. As we said, does not matter how you jump it, there is nothing to jump on anymore. It's nice to see these things. It brings back many memories, very good memories of how things went and how it started, and how collectively man over centuries have achieved to get where it is now, because we have opened the mind of the man. There is such a thing possible, and knowing is impossible is made endeavored to reach that possibility. Rick, what do you have as a question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We've got an interesting question here in the YouTube, which is kind of a basic question for all of humanity, I think, from Uzarl. It's a short question. How may we enjoy the physicality with peace?
Easy. Be peaceful. Physicality become peaceful, and it becomes peace. Very simple. Keep away. We usually lock ourselves away from people who might harm us, but as we mature, we'll find out there is another way. Mature your soul, that you elevate the soul, that they don't become to harm you or to bother you. Work in the opposite way. Instead of running, give. And by giving, everything becomes peaceful. As I said many times in the past few months, those who were cause of the pain and suffering for us, we let them go, because that's how they got their lives, by creating that suffering that they could confirm they exist. And now by letting go, we have found peace. Never known. Love, care, peace, all has come together because we elevated theirs by letting them go, by allowing ourselves not to be abused. That brings peace. That brings a lot of joy. I have never known such a peaceful life for 30 years. Because by keeping turmoil, they confirm the continuous existence. And it's the man who has to choose. And when we choose for a peace of mind and peace of soul, we achieve it. It's us who decide, nobody else. And always elevate those who think they're the cause of your suffering, and they'll mature to it. And very soon I'll explain what this has done to those who've been the cause of our pain. Very soon I'll explain how by elevating their souls, they ended up their own pain and suffering of the others. You'll understand, but it needs time. Any other question? Learn to elevate, learn to give, the rest will come on its own.
I'll remind the attendees in our Zoom chat here that they can raise their virtual hands, and you can ask a question here directly. Lots of expressions of gratitude in the YouTube.
Please, as knowledge seekers, we go back out to explain. Keshe Foundation in Austria, in China, in Iran, and in Mexico, and in the next couple of months in Arizona, have started recruiting knowledge seekers and non-knowledge seekers for expansion of our, what I call, commercial activities and spread of the knowledge through proof of the technology. We need knowledge seekers who have the technical knowledge, who might have the technical knowledge, to join in the factories and into developments and maybe some research in these centers. The number of people, especially in Tehran, in Austria and China, and in Mexico, will rise to hundreds of people. And if you are a knowledge seeker with expertise, not just because you're a knowledge seeker, try to join us if you want, and for setting up development of these new factories and these institutions which are set to spread and bring out the new technology. If you are working and you're in the background, we know many of you are, with weapon defense technology in America. Those of you who work for NASA and Lockheed Martin and you're laid out, who reach out to the nuclear physicists who are standing outside Las Almas to join the Keshe Foundation in new research centers in Austria and in Arizona. We know many advanced technologists and scientists in a space development in the European community looking for a job. Keshe Foundation is opening its door to these scientists to divert what we call defense technology into space technology. We know of a massive unemployment in advanced technology in the United States. In the coming weeks, in Arizona, Keshe Foundation will open the first series of enhancement units to be shown in Arizona and to be used. As we announced in the American teaching, 48 enhancement units will be delivered to Arizona in coming weeks, and a quarter of these are there as a gift to the American forces who have come back from battles with the psychological or physical damages to the brain or their eye, freely available to the American citizens of what I call military background. The veterans of wars in Middle East, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and the rest, you have a free access to use of these to see your health back, to regain, and to stop the suffering from what you have carried for years from these, what we call the atrocities of your government. A quarter of the Keshe Foundation enhancement unit in Arizona, with the acceptance of our partners, has become freely available to American veterans for their full recovery. This is a hand of peace from the Iranian nation to the Americans, to the American administration, and beyond the boundary of the Iranian government and Iranian leadership. This is not a gesture, but this is a first step, Keshe Foundation and the Iranian nation, to open a dialogue and with it, bring peace to both nations. We work beyond the limitation of the Iranian government and Iranian leadership, as they have their own agenda, and the Keshe Foundation agenda is peace, peaceful brotherhood of man in understanding and sharing technology. With the opening of the enhancement units in Arizona, we open the dimension and directions of our investment through our arms of our stock exchange group of companies, which will allow the massive investment into US and the transfer of technology to Americans and the North American states. Keshe Foundation is an independent nation, offers and has the freedom to deliver its technology to anywhere, which can bring peace between men and nations. And in the coming weeks, through the veteran newspapers and magazines which we work with, the people in that structure will announce a free, welcoming use of Iranian nuclear space technology by the American veterans to improve their lives. We do not expect any, what I call, hiccups, and we welcome all those who have suffered long enough for the mistakes of the leaders to recover from many. And as we expand more and more centers across America, the same offer will be open only for the American veterans to become and to recover as a gift from the Iranian nation and the Keshe Foundation. We bear all the costs, and this is a hand of peace outside the 5+1 between the Iranian nation citizens and the American government and the rest. This will be demonstrated freely in Arizona, and as we see more veterans gain the structure of life and become the normal citizens, we build the bridges of peace between nations through citizens, and then the governments follow. As I said, the whole structure of the Keshe Foundation has to be to create conditions of peace. The same technology is at the reach of the Chinese and the Russian administration if they decide to negotiate with the Keshe Foundation on a direct basis, and we deliver the same tool. As we deliver the space flight systems in December of this year for test and trial, we'll bring all the nationals to be available except European Community Space Program till the situation in the European Space Agency with a bunch of what we call misconducted people are sorted, and they have been submitted to what we call the Hague European Court of Justice for their actions. So the European Space Agency will stay out of any what we call work of the Keshe Foundation till the situation in the Space Agency has sorted out that we can deal with a peaceful people. In so many ways, apply for a job, join the Keshe Foundation, and develop or work to develop new technologies that brings peace to humanity. I would like to thank John, who has made everything possible to be a bridge between the Keshe Foundation in Iran and the Keshe Foundation, maybe the government of the United States in the background, that it brings us that peaceful level, that step to be able to make us a peaceful nation as one nation. As I said, Keshe Foundation Space Institute now is becoming a registered independent university, and the same, the Keshe Foundation Space, what we call factories and manufacturing, become a space organizations for flights and the rest. And we need experts from those who understand and being part of the space technology. The Iranians who work in NASA, and for those Americans who work in NASA Propulsion Lab, to join the new space university in Linz in Austria, to work together to bring the knowledge in the level of understanding of the totality. The same offer goes to the Chinese and the Russian space technology and knowledge. In so many ways, those of you who have access to American administration in a different way and listen, the race for a space as one nation has opened up through the operation and teaching and the work and knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. And we show this step by step to build trust and to find out there is a bigger and much stronger technology beyond nuclear, where the nuclear was a stepping stone for us to understand how to access the knowledge of the creation. We welcome you. If you are looking for a job, especially from NASA, especially from American space agencies and aircraft industry, especially those who are experts in design of the defense systems in American manufacturing weapon technology. Join us to create a peace technology and where we can deliver through new technology a condition that no man can ever go to war. Keshe Foundation is on the recruiting path, and I have approached organizations which will go headhunting within NASA, headhunting within Lockheed Martin, Chinese space agencies, Russian space agencies, excluding European organizations. And with it, we'll develop this technology very rapidly in one way or the other. For those people of space who believe in the use of the space for peaceful application and implication. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Well, our knowledge seekers here are a little hesitant to raise their hands. I guess it's a...
Maybe before I finish, Rick, those of you who want to know where to apply for the job, go at info@keshe.foundation, and you can submit your application forms or request there. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That would have been one of the next questions. We had a question in YouTube from Diane, who is trying to understand the soul of physicality and the soul of man. So she says, I have a question. In order to understand the soul of physicality and soul of man, is it like as the baby in the womb of his mother, the soul of the man is like the mother, and the soul of physicality is like the baby?
More or less, yes. If that makes it to understand it, yes. Every cell of the man has soul and operates through that operation. And every cell of the man has fields which has led to his manifestation and has a structure of the control of the physicality. We call it RNA and DNA. That collective physical dimension operation of the fields we call the soul of physicality, which gives us the dimension of physical man by conversion of the fields into matter state level. At a higher order, where even in the center of the soul, physical soul of the man, physical structure of man, there is a soul center control for that cell. So it's what we call the soul of the cell, which is connected to the soul of the man. Collectively have a different operation, and in singularity, they work within the structure of the soul and the soul of the cell of the man. So we have a control, central control, and we have individual central control in the dimension of physicality. One has a physical dimension, which is the body we touch, and has to understand the environmental condition of the fields, and one which is controlling remote with all access to all that every cell knows what the other cell is doing within it, which we call the soul of the man. I hope I managed to answer
you. Okay, thank you. User here in YouTube says, in Arabic Islamic literature, they name an angel Mitratush or Metatron. How can we relate to this?
I do not know.
Okay.
You got to understand something very important, especially to the Islamic world. During the reign of Muhammad, bless his name, Muhammad fought his uncles and his cousins that they never touch Iran. And he said to them that they believed in God, what we are trying to bring, long before us, through Mitra and Ahura Mazda. And as long as Muhammad, bless his name, was alive, Arabs never crossed the line to Iran. The Islamic world crossed the line into the Zoroastrian nation of Iran when Muhammad died, and the greed for the wealth in the nation brought them to slaughter the Iranians. Islam on the Iranian nation is an enforced religion, which then became fanaticism. Muhammad itself believed in the what we call belief of Zoroaster and Mitra. And what we see today in Iran, the fanaticism, is for those who have carried on with abuse of the descendants of Muhammad, not the true belief of Muhammad himself. And that fanaticism has been the cause of many, many problems for what we call the Iranian nation of Zoroaster. We are first Zoroastrians. We are first believers in Mitra. And Islam has the second place in the heart of every Iranian. But enforced the wrong way, especially in recent past, by guns and threats and blood, by those who's taken power. And that has come to an end. Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran and the same Ayatollah Raisi believe in Zoroaster and Mitra more than they do in Islam because they are first Iranian. When you go to Tehran, in the school of what is known as Firuz Bahram, Ayatollah Khomeini has paid for the school to be furnished to the best, as his belief in Zoroaster is stronger than his belief in Islam, as is the root of us as Iranians, and that cannot be broken. And this is what has to be understood, and then we understand whether Islam has taken shape the way it has across this planet. During the Muhammad's time, Zoroastrians were respected as a religion because, as Muhammad said, they believed long in the Creator before we do. How can we go and teach them something more? And then you see the name of Mitra and different shape appears in Islamic literature. As Muhammad accepted Zoroaster and Mitra as a religion and respected the same. In the parliament of today in Iran, Zoroastrians have a member, and his thoughts takes priority more than anybody when a rule is passed, because they are the true Iranians. They are the true blood of Mitra, what has been and the way they live. And then when you ask for Mitra in different Islamic culture, you have to understand how the respect came from Muhammad Rasul's name for the culture and the belief, as most of the religions come from Mitra. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question from Alpha. It says, blessings from Ghana. Thank you, beautiful Keshe Foundation souls, for service of peace. What should we expect from close friends and family in the dimension of emotion as we land next to them using our soul?
See how closer they take you or how further they reject you. Then you get your answer. Or why they keep you in that distance of emotion through the soul. Maybe they don't understand or comprehend the strength of the love of your soul. And maybe you need to learn something. Any other question?
Well, we have a Q&A question here from Katja. Hi, Mr. Keshe. The last teaching you told us of the birth of Mitra in the 21st of December. Can you tell us more about this moment of celebration? Like, is it the first baby out of the body enhancement unit? Or is it the birth of a woman? Or something else? Thank you so much.
21st of December traditionally is the birth of Mitra, has been for centuries and thousands of years. This is the time of what we call the longest night, the birth of Mitra, when the man walked out of the longest ignorance of existence of the Creator to his creation. And the same process will carry on. In the calendar of the life of the man, in the dimension of the belief in Mitra, the existence of the soul of the Mitra is existence of what we call the soul of the lover of the Creator. In Christianity and the conversion of the many things in the Old Testaments and the others, you call it Eve. where the Creator is that. And the love of the Creator, in a way, taste of the love, sharing and giving unconditionally, is known in so many ways as the apple. When the Creator tasted the love which Mitra brought with itself for the first time in the dimension of physicality on Earth. When Mitra chose Earth, was because of his beauty, his diversity of life, and how life had purpose of love. And a promise was made that when the peace comes, when she is fully collected the whole beauty of the universe and universe, she will return on that day of her birthday to give life to a new dimension, which brings the new life, what you call the fruit of what we call the apple. In so many ways, the time for peace has come, and then man shall see. In the future, we will disclose in much more detail about this. But in essence, 21st of April is the birth of Mitra, and has been. And now it's Mitra was in the dimension, the love of the Creator, but now we'll have both in the both dimensions in a coming time for man to understand. And a new cycle of life will start across the universe in both dimensions. This is where the Creator suffered, where Mitra took the shape and the dimension of physicality as he could not. And now one life can live in both dimensions, both in physical and what we call the soul. We'll explain this in the due course as man matures. Any other question? Looking at this picture you have on the screen, this system, used the correct way, can allow every, let's say if you have an amputated leg, to be grown to its full capacity and capability. If you lose an arm or a leg, and if you put in this system where your soul and your physicality both grow in the same direction and dimension, you can grow your arm, you can grow your leg. You need today open heart surgery, where the system, if it's set by the man of knowledge, your heart will find its position and balance as you were time you were born. It is an amazing system, and it needs to be understood. You have to be able to understand and be willing to let go of the dimension of physicality that the soul of the man can take when you enter these machines. As long as you have attachment and worries with attachment, you'll find difficulties to in a way to recover from any position. It does not matter what system we throw at you. That's why we've developed these systems, to elevate the soul at the same time the physicality to decide its position and dimension. As I said before, if you look at this system, you don't see any reactors sticking out within the atmosphere environment of the system. And this is the same with the flight system, where what you saw in the original enhancement demonstration unit, where the systems are out, how these systems are more powerful than others. Advancement in technology for knowledge seekers to understand has taken 2 years, but gradually we are reaching. Any other question?
Question from Salamia in the Q&A here in the Zoom. How can we create balance between the soul and physicality and the soul of the man to stop this war and get peace of the soul?
That's within you. Nobody else can do that except you. What do you expect? What creates a turmoil that with it creates imbalance? What brings you balance and soul that there is no turmoil? In a way, what are you satisfied with? What are your expectations? And there's no need to be somebody to disturb you from being peaceful. Your own thoughts, your own emotions are the main sources of your disruption, not being peaceful with yourself. Find out what those emotions are and the reason behind it. Now find peace with it, which means understand them. Any other question?
I think at one point you said the secret is in your brain.
Yep. Which is your soul inside it and soul of physicality within it.
Okay, Salomia says, thank you for that. Mr. Keshe, I'm just noticing on this picture here is that appears to be a maggrav unit on the head and foot of each end of this horizontal unit. Is that correct?
Yes.
I was trying to figure out what
your knowledge seekers have not understood the power of the plasma. You have not reached the point of understanding the work of the plasma. It does not matter what matter you put in between. You need to create a connection between the two ends of the physical of man and the soul and be able to influence one another. And the plasma systems within these maggrav systems is what we always said. You ignored it. We don't. We work with it because that's why we built it. John in Arizona got very near to it and he walked away from it and I thought he's going to break through. He's going to break through. He made the tables, he walked among it, he went in the center of it. The only thing he didn't do, he didn't walk on top of
it. I can see that. Thank you for that. Interesting.
Everything in Keshe Foundation is interesting.
It gets more interesting every week, it seems, here, Mr. Keshe. I don't know how that can be because it seemed totally overwhelming even 8 years ago, but it becomes even more interesting each week.
I think
congratulations.
We gave you in that small dosages. We never found out. We never realized you become addicted to it. You get knowledge in small bits.
Well, it's true in many ways. And once you get addicted to it, you don't want to go back to the ordinary life without it in a way, because everything looks pretty pale in comparison to the plasma technology.
Why? In the next few months, when I have a little bit more time, we'll introduce what we call the system which gives you the knowledge of universe. Enhancement unit, which allows you to tap into the knowledge of universe, to see. Not necessarily understand. And then see what will happen, what's the next steps of the development in the knowledge and technology, or the steps which are available in the universe and available to man due to his lack of knowledge. You make what we call the communication system from one to another. This system will allow the man to tap into the knowledge of the universe, communicate in that dimension. You need this system. As you become man of universe, you need to understand how to communicate with the others, members of the universal community, and how to be in touch with even the healthy man in other dimensions in the universe. It's a technology which is a bit too soon, too early for us to do this.
We were discussing yesterday in the Keshe Plasma Reactor group about an article about an astronomer's research that suggests there's a magnetic tunnel that surrounds our solar system, and explained about that and so on. And we're finding out that the scientists and astronomers are just discovering about the magnetic fields that permeate the universe. And they're starting to map out the sort of web-like structure that of these fields. And it's pretty big in that sense that they're finally acknowledging that there are magnetic fields in space. And this is something you've been going on since day one in book one, basically. So it's starting to come around. They're starting to appreciate your perspective that there are magnetic gravitational fields, which we are, you know, they're suggesting in this article that there's this magnetic tunnel that surrounds the solar system, and that's part of the magnetic structure that's also from the galaxy and so on, that it's all connected. This was the amazing part about the article. This the parts on one side are connected to the parts on the other side through these magnetic fields. So we're getting there, Mr. Keshe.
I've been waiting for thousands of years. I think a few more years will not make much difference. It's something I don't know if I've shared with you before. But when you look at this picture and understand the picture, a lot of things become very amazingly open in the knowledge of the field when we shared this before, and you understand the process of the connection of the fields in how magnetic fields relate and how they accumulate in one dimension or the other. I'm sure you've seen this before. These are magnetic poles. And if you look at them, they are very much like universes connected to each other. They are very much like galaxies connected to each other. And when you look at the structure, these are what we call spherical magnets. This is the shape of what we call a spiral of the gravitational. And in so many ways, if you look in the center, there is a gap. Doesn't matter how you fit it, it's very hard to fill that gap. And that gap is not mainly created by the dimension of the physicality. It's very, because of its existence, it enforces this dimension of physicality to take shape. And if you extend the knowledge and understand, especially the way we put the magnets, other magnets within it, we see there is a very interesting point with these magnets, that all the fields are exactly the same. Does not matter which position we put the other two magnets. And I can put one of these, what we call like bullet magnets, in between those magnets and show the conversion of the light to matter, matter to energy. We don't have the systems to see the slowing down of the fields between the magnets and the bullets if you put it together. But the naked eye, as we are not trained, we don't see it, but in the magnetic field eye we see. And then these bullets become very much like the flight system we have. And we see there is always a magnetic field which surrounds any dynamic structure with both physical magnetic field and what you call gravitational field. It's not that the solar system is in a tunnel. The fields of the what we call the gravitational fields of the solar system create the absorption of the fields in both dimensions and the creation of what you call the magnetic field tunnel. So when you look at it on both ends, you create this tunneling effect. In fact, Earth or solar system is not in a magnetic field tunnel, but is in a tunnel which it creates itself around itself due to interaction of the fields within the galaxy. And it shows that way. It's created out of interaction of the fields within the solar system, within the galaxy, with each other. It's not that there is a tunnel and solar system moves in it. The interaction of the fields of the solar system leads to the creation of this tunnel with every single magnet. If you look at it, they all come into it. Does not matter which one. And in interacting it, they don't interact with one end. They interact with both ends, and then they lead to the creation. And it's the same. The other end of this field interacts with the other side of this magnet, other galaxies, other stars. And that tunnel is created out of interaction of the fields with other systems. And this, the scientists have not understood yet. We are now walking through a tunnel. This tunnel is created out of the interaction of the fields of the solar system, the fields from the Earth, the fields from the Mars, the fields from others, which make the solar system, plus the sun itself, with other North Pole, South Pole of the other stars and galaxies. If you take the, what do you call, the solar system out of this point, nothing exists. There is no tunnel. I hope I explained this and understood.
That's very good, Mr. Keshe. I think that's what she was trying to get to in this article. The Jennifer West, who was a researcher at the University of Toronto, actually, and she pitched this idea to her professor or one of her other professor apparently, and she mentions, there's a quote from her, maybe is applicable. She says, magnetic fields don't exist in isolation. They all must connect to each other. So a next step is to better understand how this local magnetic field connects both to the larger scale galactic magnetic field and also to the smaller scale magnetic fields of our sun and the Earth. So they're
I think we
recognizing there's a connection. You explained it very well with this simple magnetic structure, and I really like the way that these magnets are shaped like these. You know, the fields would exist in that condition with a large magnetic structure of the galaxy in there and so on. It really makes sense. The fields don't exist just by themselves. They have to interact with something else in order to form themselves, essentially. So it takes two to tango in a way. At least
this is a secret to systems which will be seen to be set up by the introduction of their new flight system. NASA, in conjunction with Boeing, have been working for years on this tunneling, the way we do for aircrafts, but for cars in the cities. And the head of this group is a Chinese guy. It's called the Phantom Project. But I tried to work with this group years ago, but I couldn't explain to them is that by placing the magnets or fields in a position of the next interaction, you can create the tunnel. In a way, goes back to the transmission towers, which Edison was trying to create. Every few kilometers, you need the transmission tower to power the line or to add to the line that you can keep on transmitting. In the future, many of our road flight systems will follow this process, because we go back to the DC condition, which Edison was trying to say, which is a part of the characteristics of the magnetic field. And the tunneling will become this way. In a way, if you look at it, the magnetic field of this one and the magnetic field of this one dictates the position and everything else after this one. The yellow one has very little say in where it goes. The other two have, because it's them in sharing the fields through dictate the position. And this is part of the travel system in cities in the future, where we will use magnetic field system, gravitational field system, where nobody will crash no one, impossibility to have accidents, and we can travel at high speeds in these space tunnels. Any other question?
Okay, we have a question from Manaz in YouTube, who says, I've come to realize when one lets go of the physical dimension, one becomes lonely. Relationship with friends, family, and perspective of everything changes. I enjoy where I am, so why does this happen?
I don't know.
Well, Mr. Keshe, you mentioned one time, or perhaps several times, that when we get a vision of the next dimension, letting go of the physical dimension, detachment, then it would be of such enjoyment or such a vision that the physical dimension would seem meaningless to us.
What do you mean?
Well, you've mentioned the beauty of the universe that can be seen when we let go of our physical vision of it. So people have this fear of letting go of the physical dimension, that they think they'll be lonely or they'll lose their relationships with their friends and family and so on. But perhaps by letting go of the physical dimension, we become more clear on another dimension of existence. And perhaps there's beauties in that that are even greater than the physical.
Maybe because we let some go, other things become manifest, or
Yeah.
at least we see other parts which we didn't see before.
Exactly, yes. Which
I've
when we're
had
stuck
that.
on the physical.
Yeah, I had that in past year and a half. When you let the views go, then you realize how much you allowed it to happen. And do you
Yes,
need it?
exactly. So when
And
we're
the thing is, the most part of it is the views, I think this is right to views. And we see this very much with the psychological behavior of any kind of abuse. That the victim becomes the, what do you call, the guilty party. In a way, you are guilty that you had to stand for yourself and then find out that you're just a victim. We never realize it till we are in it. And then we realize it when we are out of it, what has been going on. Because you condition yourself. You will see a lot of these kind of things with the people who start using the enhancement units. The insight, the clarity they see things. By elevation of the soul. Very, very interesting.
yes, exactly. Philip asks, are some of these pulsing orb UFOs seen in infrared cameras actually beings who've reached the point of being able to travel through the soul?
Some of them are fresh soul, just left the body. Some of them are fresh souls, just becoming free from entanglement of the physicality. As they move, and now we have the system to be able to see them, we see them as light, as they interact with the environment of the area.
Maybe
Some
we'll
of these,
I was going to say, maybe we'll start to see shooting stars that are going off into space instead of coming from space to Earth.
yeah, many times when the soul's free, yes. We shouldn't puzzle us. It's the purpose of the creation on this planet, to become a star, to become a seed in another dimension of the universe. Can you imagine how fast you travel to that point in another galaxy, in another universe, part of the unicast, to take the position which you've been given to fulfill by the field strength out, to become the start of the seed of a star or a galaxy or a universe? will be, it's inevitable when your dynamic plasma fields travels within the fields of the Earth, which are dynamic. There are a lot of reports we see people are posting around. You have what you call YouTube, of massive number of lights in the sky collectively appears. There's a huge number of these coming from different directions. Somebody asks, is that the promised return of the souls? Yes, they are. Some of them are. Come back, the whole family comes back. Don't forget, I always say, my great-grandmother was one single woman about 100 years ago. And the offspring of that single woman at the moment is a couple of hundred. And it's the same in the depth of the universe. The souls who left with the great-grandma's time, some of great-great-grandfather's time, 300-400 years ago, it's a few thousand of them. They said there is a celebration on Earth, we're going back. And we go as a whole together, not just individuals. And I said that very in the past, that you will see massive amount of lights in the skies of the universe, planet, where the souls come back. And it's taking shape gradually. People are reporting, videoing and showing. These are not necessarily the UFOs, but these are the souls. These souls could have become the center of another star. But as we can transmit, they know it's the time. The soul of the star is here. It's because it came from the soul of the man. Mankind has got a lot to learn yet.
Okay, I've got a couple of more questions if you can handle it there, Mr. Keshe. From Alpha, Mr. Keshe, should we work with the breathing rhythm in order to connect the soul of physicality with the soul of man and allow it to dissolve in fields for transmutation in order to reach the center of Earth, for example?
No. You got to realize your lung is part of your brain. Your lung, your skin, and your brain is of the same source. You can transmute and transfer a lot of energies through your lung, through the breathing system in different ways that it benefits your brain. And depends how then you interact with it. It's a different proposition, how you feel with it and what you think you have achieved. Any other question?
Yes, there's a question I was going to bring up as well from Peng Peter here in YouTube. It says more interactions between the royal families and commoners are being seen, especially with the recent news on the Japanese princess abandoning her royal status. Have we reached their souls?
This has been going on for centuries. Royals who don't see belonging to, and some of them they see they're deserving to be. But more and more monarchs in the past centuries have left monarchies, not just because of our teaching, but because they don't see, or they want to be a commoner, to be with the common people. And even the kingdom is not worth it for what the love of a common man. We've seen in the British history, that's how the Queen came into being a Queen of England, but abdication because of the love of a woman. It was much stronger than a king. And this is normal. We see it quite often in every royal family somewhere. But it's the way how they take it is important. I was listening to Harry's interview, and he said the hardest thing for me I could not accept was my security was taken away. I had no more bodyguards because I wasn't royal. To him, all the razzmatazz and everything else was not important. Him being naked, become a common man was very harsh for him. Now he had to live amongst men, the same as men, get the same bus, get the same train, and the rest of it. As I said, we've seen it in a couple of teachings before with Netanyahu. He brought every hell on every life in the Middle East for 12 years. And nothing was safe. Hundreds of Israeli security services checking every pots and pans everywhere he went. And now he stands in a queue like a common man and here and has to open his own suitcase and everything else, and it's very harsh for him to accept. Being loved and respect is not a privilege, it's not the right, it's a desire to give. And this is what the problem is with the monarchs. Any other question?
Okay, a quick question from Stephen in the chat here, who thinks he has the enhancement unit figured out. Is there indium in the enhancement unit as a base plate? I asked because in the past it was discussed by Mr. Keshe for the star formation. Indium.
We don't have such a thing, I don't think, even in the lab.
Okay. Mark Anderson has a question here that's important to many knowledge seekers. What would you say to beautiful knowledge seekers who can't put the two proverbial screws together, yet want to work for the Keshe Foundation, although they weren't chosen for direct employment? How would you suggest to best continue their energies to support foundation work? Just leave it to the souls to decide? You know, the emotion of rejection or feeling bad not being chosen could be sensed, or is this just our own immaturity in understanding the totality? We understand we all serve in different ways and want to help.
In a way, this comes, I understand Mark's position with the factory setup. People like to be there to do things. We all serve in different ways, and we all work in different ways, but we don't need all to be in the factory to put things together. And as I said, we brought people to be as part of the structure of the KF, but they don't fit in. They're beautiful knowledge seekers, but they don't have the, what we call the competence. They do their best there, but Keshe Foundation, now that is becoming an international structure with whatever we do, we have to be the same, otherwise any hole in the structure can be against us in the long run and in the long term. And we are looking to employ, we are looking to bring the knowledge out, but we all can serve in different ways. You don't need to be there to do it. It's not a rejection, it's just like you want to be a ballerina, which you never trained for it. It's impossible. You'll break your leg very quick. We don't see that as rejection, we see that as part of being correct into the rest of our, what we call our application and event. Secondly, there are 7 billion people, half of them working, plus the Keshe Foundation is only a few thousand jobs. But being a knowledge seeker is not good. We did that 3 years, 4 years ago. We brought knowledge because we thought they're not, and they just abused the Keshe Foundation under the name of the knowledge seekers. At one point, we had a 300,000 a month wage bill. And we found out half of them we just here appeared the last day of the month, Mr. Keshe, blah, blah, and the rest was, we have videos of them sitting there, oh, he just pays us for our holidays, this is stupid. Now we become wise. You have to deliver what you take a job. Doesn't mean you're a bad knowledge seeker, it's just that you don't have a skill for that job today. Now we're becoming a space manufacturing company, aircraft manufacturing company. We have to abide by rules and regulations and standards of the aircraft industry, or flight industry. We can't bring somebody who doesn't know which end of the screwdriver is. The guy when we met, he said, we put inspectors in your factory and everything has to be perfect. Every staff should know, you have to train how everything is fitted to each other. It's not making a pad or a pen anymore. Any other question?
Okay, and one more question, Mr. Keshe, and then we have a comment from someone as well. Now, I think you want to wrap things up here soon. So, Mr. Keshe, this is from Danilo in the Q&A here. Mr. Keshe, how can the Keshe Foundation help people who are suffering because of natural disaster like tsunami? Is there any cooperation between Keshe Foundation and any government regarding to this?
We are building it up, yes. We are building it up, and what we see in the coming time when we have the flight units in, we should be able to deliver technologies on the point of demand. It's not that we deliver food, what do you call it, the house and the bricks, but creating an environment of safety with food is feasible. In a way, can you give me, oh, I can do it myself. I explained this before. When you talk about the tsunami and being able to support or help, yes, we should be able to do. Somewhere, just 1 second. I've lost my pen. Very strange. You missed the pen. In the process of tsunami, for example, we can create conditions with number of the flight enhancement units to create the position of a dome. And in this dome, through, as we say, the enhancement units do not carry any food, whatever, we release fields within the environment that becomes food to people. Energy transfer. At the same time, the same crafts have the capability to create a field which becomes painkiller or anti-inflammatory. These are not anymore. Might be these are actually implemented in the enhancement units. So all we do, we allow the extension of, yes, we can help in tsunamis, we can help in disasters, we can even help in forest fires if they are not accidental, if they are accidental, but not when they are naturally nature progress every year repetition. We can allow the hurricanes to take shape from the what we call west coast of Africa to the east coast of the United States, but we should be able to have the knowledge that on approach to, let's say, California, Florida, we can create such a dome to divert it back into the sea. that we don't see the huge damages we see nowadays inland. But again, these inland changes needed. That's how this Earth does. The same process can be used to create life or sustaining life in a space. We have not even started the process of the space and use of technology of the universe. Any other question?
I suppose it would make sense that the first units that would be used for emergency services and that kind of thing, but not military. Would that be?
We have no more use for military. There is no need for military. This is how we explained. And we explained, we deliver this technology so rapidly that the governments don't even think of military use because they all have it.
What about other agencies, say Coast Guard, for example? They're not military, but they're security agencies for, maintaining, checking for drug smugglers or other infractions on the water and so on. Would that be a possible application of this technology?
Yeah, they can do. Actually, in the narcotic side, there is a huge development we can apply. You got to realize, I used to work with British security services with the narcotics for years. And I'm aware of this menace. We used to sit and scratch our head how genius these people become in different ways of trafficking. I used to be part of what we call the execution part of it to get rid of the materials for the British government for years. And the ingenuity of these people, how they come. I remember I was in Belgium and I received a call from British National, what we call drug agency, that can you just attend in Dover urgent. We flew straight away into Dover. And what they wanted to see was fantastic the way they'd done it. It was donuts. And donuts usually have a sugar powder on it. And these guys, cocaine coated the donuts. Very much. Can you imagine if a child vaccine gets hold of it? The damage it does. And I've seen a lot of strange ways. But with this technology, we can stop the growth at the source. There are ways that we can stop even the plant to grow. You don't need even to go to the process of the harvesting it, processing it, and then putting it out. It's very easy for elements which are harmful to man to be stopped at the source with this technology, if you understand how to use it. Very much like Helmand province. For centuries, Helmand has been the source of British monarchy income by selling drugs, growing and selling, and nobody could stop it because it was financed, supported by the Queen. Even we've seen in the past 20 years, all the problems in Afghanistan is not in Helmand, is because British grow so much there. And all incomes is assets of the Queen. Whatever drugs sold in the Middle East finds its percentage in the royal family pockets somewhere. We know this, and it's well recorded. we can stop the growth of these puppies at source. Then you don't need to. The only pocket that will be damaged is the pocket of the kind of human or other family. There will be no traffickers. There will be no addicts because there's no traffickers to deliver. These are all, and it takes a few $1,000 investment in this new technology to do it. Any other question?
Yes, we finally have a brave knowledge seeker that's put a hand up here, Mr. Keshe, by name of Stefania. So if we can allow her to go ahead.
Why do we eat the people if they put their hands up?
Hopefully she deliberately put her hand up this time.
Yes.
Hi, Stefania.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Keshe, and good morning, Rick. Mr. Keshe, when you do this draw, no, with and you say the 4 spacecraft, you always remind me when you said when we're in the Mojan that we could do this as well as us, tipo 4 people. I remember you one day. I think we were in this hotel in China, and you said that 4 of us could like stop a meteorite or something. If we would have gone on the edge of the Earth and make a magnetic fields around Earth, could you go more deep on that? Like man can do that as well because we are spacecraft too.
We are energy sources, but it's how do we tune to each other? It's just like a chorus of 4 people singing. We tune our voice to each other to be as one and effective. If we learn to tune the strength of our souls, then we can do the same. And it's very easy. Many races in the space, they never have aircraft. They create the condition of the fields. And they travel as families, as a group. There is no limitations, just man does not have the knowledge. That's all.
I remember you also said to us to see if we can meet up in the dream. I think this one when maybe you wanted to make us connect, maybe to make this. You said if in the dream I meet the other Mojan and I can recognize the T-shirt, like the color, and they recognize my one, and then the next day we wake up and we said, you had a yellow T-shirt. I said, yes. You had the blue shoes, yes. So that means we meet up. So that's something that we can practice, all of us, to meet up in the dream, to increase this connection, which is the ways for us to connect between us.
The attachment, you're very attached. You want to see the red shoe, but you're not interested to see the soul of the man who carries the red shoe. So you're still physically attached. And that's a problem part. And this is what will grab man for a long time to be stuck to this planet. Try to see the color of the soul of the man and not the color of the shoe of the man, and then you will understand.
Yes, definitely. You're super right about not be able to detach. There is this fear that definitely it is definitely this issue for me. But maybe because lack of trust, isn't it? Fear is lack of trust. Fear is lack of trust.
No, depends. Each one of us has that problem different. This is the problem which all of us has. but we have to find, we have to see what is our problem.
Mr. Keshe, use our ask in the chat in YouTube. May we be taught the teaching of a Mojan?
What does that mean?
I think he means, are you going to teach another Mojan class or Mojan group?
Don't have the time.
I think
That was a special time and place we brought. It was, if you look at emotions, go back 6 years before. I took 7 students to teach in the Sensano. And I put 2 years of my life to teach them. And they could not, some did not understand, and some became murderers, and some became associated murderers. The same thing we had with motion. I allocated 12 weeks, and we saw some, and some went, and some stayed, and there's still, the motions still have another part of the teaching to be completed. But we have to go through this course before they complete that part. I don't get times like this to do. At the moment, the commitments to flights, and especially to take man into space, takes a lot of time. It's not just the flying machine. All these systems you see, enhancement units and the others, have to be synchronized, brought in to be used correctly and perfectly with the flight system. We can't have a system where we take you to 3 days excursion to Mars, and sorry, we forgot we don't have the technology for the feeding part of it. You got to start the 3 days. We can't take you to space, and if you break your leg, sorry, we put you in a bandage, we find a space ambulance and send you back. I've got to fix you within minutes. And these are all part of what you see as piece of technology getting offered to you is something strange, blah, blah. But to us, it's part of the collection of the totality at the end. And we'll see how things take shape. Any other questions? Shall we call it a day?
I think probably we should wrap things up, but I'd like to just say what a comment from the Q&A here from Drag Levsky, who says, "Hi, Mr. Keshe. My name is Draghi from Macedonia. I'm a knowledge seeker in your private teachings. In the Bible, St. Paul had a dream that a Macedonian man told him to go to Macedonia to help the people spread Christianity. I would like you to come to Macedonia to help us spread your technology, just like St. Paul helped spread Christianity. The Macedonian people are still holding their souls. I appreciate your teachings and I believe in your technology. Thank you."
Thank you very much. Never had the privilege of being in Macedonia, but I had the privilege of being on the soul of Macedonia at the border of Bulgaria years ago. And our teaching reaches everyone, doesn't matter who and where and how. What we see and how we do things. I had the privilege to be at the border, no man's land between Bulgaria and Romania, years ago, by the invitation of Bulgarian government to open up the first what we call shopping center in the no man's land between two nations by the invitation of the leaders of the Bulgaria. And it was an experience how deeply the religion is, as we were cutting the rope. I was to cut the rope for opening of this center in 1990s, we had many religious leaders standing there with their special hats and everything to bless the opening, and I realized how religious the nation is. Thank you very much. There is something maybe I can explain to you. My connections with the governments and working with the governments goes long, long before Keshe Foundation. And goes long before even Keshe Foundation was established, and into my previous work as an international businessman. And I used to do a lot of things like this, attending opening of different things for different governments, being from Kazakhstan to Russia to South America and to Africa. And those connections and what we call the understanding it and the working in that level allows us to be so open and know how to work with governments. It's not just a random something. Thank you very much. Shall we call it a day?
Sure, Mr. Keshe, yes. Thank you very much for today's teaching. Is there anything else we need to announce?
No,
here?
we are good and well. Please keep on teaching unconditionally, and hopefully everything else will do its job. Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you very much. The whole of the Keshe Foundation in the background.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I'll remind people we do have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up next week, as usual, on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central European Time. And okay, we'll go out with a couple of the vertical and horizontal units, and we'll see everyone next time around. Thank you for participating in today's 404th Knowledge Seekers Workshop.